Organised Labour rejects 62,000 naira as minimum wage, insists on 250,000 naira and may resume strike after Tuesday's meeting. And later on the show, Rivers State to spend 19.5 billion naira on reconstruction of assembly quarters. I will be hanging out with Mojid Jamiu and Asikwo James. Journalist Hangout starts now. Celebrity barman and socialite Pascal Ukechukwu, popularly known as Cubana Chief Priest, is under heavy fire again after his debacle with the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission over naira abuse. This time, his kinsmen are angry with him as a result of his lamentation over insecurity in the southeast Nigeria. And picked by the restiveness and killings that have plagued Anambra State and the southeast generally, Ukechukwu said the situation has stalled social gatherings in the region. Well, in a viral video, Cubana Chief Priest, who originally started his business in Owerri, Imo State capital, revealed that he moved to Lagos because of the lingering insecurity that kept wealthy patrons away. But his comments stirred reactions and outrage from a large section of Igbo people on social media. Let me start with you on this, Asikwo. What do you make of this, let's say, concern? Because it's not new that the Southeast has been restive over a few periods since IPOB, agitations and all. But with the comments made by Pascal and the controversy it generated online, do you think perhaps there was any justification for that?
The thing is, truth is very, very bitter. Some people might not want to take what is said, that is Chief Priest, Cubana Chief Priest, whatever is said, to heart. But the thing is, the guy is saying the truth. If somebody has multi-million naira business in the Southeast and is now telling you now that I have moved on my business to Lagos, it should be a cause of worry for those in the Southeast. And truth be told, Esther, I remember when 2 years back or 3 years back, when I went to bury my father-in-law, one of the things that happened was shocking to me. They said, I'll have to pay money for, security. And when they called the security, you are just thinking it was normal security, but the security was even those people. Oh. Okay, those people, which I won't mention them, but those people. Guys. You understand? For us to be able to, do whatever we wanted to do, and then they also give us time for us to leave the place,
Wow,
even
why?
when it was they told us, anything after 7 o'clock, you're on your own. So we had to leave, even though we had a befitting burial and all that. But the thing is, it is across the Southeast. You might not want to hear the truth, but Cubana is now telling us, guys, we need to look inwards for us to be able to solve this problem. And that is why we are having this insecurity across all the regions. People just feel that it's because I do not love the government, I don't like the government, I'm marginalized, the government is not taking care of me. And so what they now do is they vent their anger on their own brothers and sisters. And that is what he is trying to say. Let's forget about whoever is in government. Let's look at the damage that we are doing for ourselves, within ourselves, against ourselves. So all those on social media castigating him, most of them are not even in the Southeast. So all these people shouting and cursing, they are outside the country. They don't know what he's facing. They don't know what he has lost. Imagine if you know the kinds of houses that are in the Southeast, because I know those in the Southeast, they build mansions because they call the country home. And when you build a country home with billions of naira and you cannot go there,
for holiday.
just for holiday, do you know that Lagos alone the kinds of money hoteliers made in Lagos over during the December, January time, do you know how much? Hoteliers will tell you that is why if you go to the GRA and co, they were making money because people, rather than go to the southeast, they were in Lagos. They went to Abuja with their families. People came all the way from the diaspora, but they couldn't go home. So those on social media castigating him, they don't understand what he's feeling. He said something, he said, my children do not even know where I come from because they are already growing up in Lagos. They see Lagos as their home. And it is really sad. It's really, really sad. But those on social media, the only thing they do is you sit down, you castigate somebody because the person is saying the truth. You go to the southeast, go and set up business. You know some parts in southeast, they don't even open businesses on Monday. They don't open businesses on Monday. And that is billions of naira being lost. But people will sit down, and because you have small money to buy data, you know, and the only thing you do is just to abuse. But this is someone who has business. He's employing people. He understands how much he has lost. The building he has in the southeast now is rotting away. He can't sell it to anybody. So how will he make money? How will he even employ those he calls his brothers and sisters? Because that is the major thing. You can't just set up a business and you don't employ people. You know? So I think those on social media should always look at things not just from their own perspective, but look at it in an holistic manner. They might not like Cubana's, in quotes, political ideology. But the thing is, the guy has said the truth. He has said what he believes that can move that region forward. And I totally agree with what he has said.
And in moving the region forward, MJ, let me come to you on this, because the issue for the Southeast is that they are being marginalized, according to the arguments that has been, back and forth. This issue, if it isn't addressed, what is the guarantee now that there could be solution in sight? Because that seems to be the germane issue in the Southeast.
Every region needs to be strategic. We have 3 main regions in Nigeria: East, North, and West. When the West wanted power, they were strategic about it. And they used one anchor person. I mean, they tried with Obafemi Awolowo, it didn't work. They tried with M. Abiola, it didn't work. But Tinubu was able to build bridges, and it got a presidency, democratic presidency for the Southwest. Now, at a point, Yorubas too were, or rather the West generally were feeling marginalized. But they were patient, they were methodical, but they got it. And how did they get it? The West didn't get it after the wet of 1983 or 1963. Nothing like that is happening in the Southwest again. They have learned their lessons. Rather, they sat back, built bridges in the North, in the East. No region can emerge president of Nigeria on its own. So you can't fight marginalization on your own without the support of others. It's not possible. And you cannot fight marginalization by wreaking more havoc on your own people that you are trying to liberate, so to say. And that is what is happening in the Southeast now. Rather unfortunate. I mean, I listened to Pascal, the chief priest, the Cubana chief priest. Very sad. A similar thing happened. Flavor, the popular musician, he couldn't bury his dad. He couldn't hold the party in Soludo's Anambra. Yes. He had to go to Enugu because of insecurity. Does that make sense? How do you want that guy to feel? How do you want his kids to feel? It's like me now being unable to go to my home in Igbemo Ekiti or in Ado Ekiti because of insecurity. I'll now go and do maybe my dad's birthday or something in Ondo State or in Osun, nearby, or in Ibadan. No. And these are the things our guys are feeling. And you see, and that's, this thing has to do with culture and tradition and upbringing. Because look at when some characters pack themselves together and call themselves Yoruba Nation, and they say they want to overthrow government in Oyo State. What did the Yoruba do? The entire Yoruba race came
against them.
After they moved after them. Their houses were demolished, and we've never had any other thing. Even Sunday Igboho, who used to be their major this thing, they said no, they were on their own, and the thing just died there. It sent serious signals. But I expect that, yes, elders in the Southeast, the traditional rulers, they have been doing it, but I don't think it is enough. Now, Obi Kubana came out and let them realize that, come, what you guys are doing, what we are doing to ourselves is not good. Mm-hmm. We are killing businesses. We are discouraging investments. What do? They went on social media. Those were with $1 data started abusing him on social media. That is not the solution. While other zones will keep the clamor for 2027 have started. Alignments, building of bridges have started already. But if you rely on shutting down the whole of the Southeast on Monday, every Monday, that's 52 Mondays in a year. You can imagine, if you quantify it, the kind of man hours lost as a result of this. The other day, they say Biafra Day, May 30, nobody is against that. But you can't say people, because we are doing Biafra, we are celebrating, we are marking 30 years of Biafra, and students should not go and write WAEC. WAEC is not written only in the Southeast. It's not written only in Nigeria. Mm-hmm. It is WAEC is written in, I think, about 16 West African countries. So if some people sit down somewhere and say they are not writing WAEC, it's not the business of WAEC. Mm-hmm. Even when organized labor went on strike, WAEC sent appeals and struck signals that peradventure, if any student or any school fails to write a particular subject, they are not going to repeat it, because WAEC is not only holding in Nigeria. So, I think we should look at some of these things, and the people promoting this violence in the Southeast will allow reason to prevail. It is not good, it is unethical, it is not good for business, it's not good for the image of the Southeast, and that's why the people like Obi Kubana, is trying to use his popularity and his voice, as a youth, quote unquote, so to say, to also appeal to the youth. But look at the way the thing has backfired, which means there are some people profiting from this. Exactly. Even Nnamdi Kanu wrote from custody. Yeah, and said, stop this Monday issue. I'm the one you guys are saying you want them to be released, but I'm saying stop this thing. There are more strategic ways we can achieve this without you shutting down businesses and killing people on Mondays.
Right.
But some people are profiting from it.
Yeah, I would hope that this matter gets treated and quickly as soon as possible for the sake of residents in the Southeast, and many of us who are not even in the Southeast at present, perhaps in the Southwest and other regions in the country. Well, let's quickly look at other issues right now on the program. We may be in a new week, but the same old minimum wage saga continues to trouble us. Organized labor has said it will not accept 62,000 naira or 100,000 naira they call starvation wage as the new national minimum wage for workers. The Labour Centre insists on 250,000 naira being its latest demand at the last meeting of the tripartite committee on minimum wage on Friday as the living wage for workers. And according to the Assistant General of the Nigeria Labour Congress, NLC, Chris Onyeka, the organs of the NLC and the Trade Union Congress will have no option than to resume the nationwide industrial action relaxed last week. And if the federal government and National Assembly fail to act on their demand, Now, Asukwa, we know what happened last week. You know, the grid shut down, and it, caused a lot of, will I say, imbalance. People were taken by surprise. Flights were shut down. So many businesses didn't open. Even the secretariat didn't function. Now the Labour insists that it's either 250 or nothing. What are you anticipating?
Yeah, well, the news we just got now from NLC, they are saying that the President and the National Assembly will determine their next, action. I know tomorrow will be the 1 week that they relax that strike. So we are expecting that, reasoning, will prevail because we can't afford to shut down the economy. I know what they did the last time. I think by conscience, by now they should be thinking that I think we didn't do well, by shutting down the national grid. Because shutting down the national grid that last week was reasonable, whether they want to hear it or they don't want to. But that is just the right language, because people could have died. And I'm very sure one way or the other, some hospitals, general hospital would have been feeling, maybe somebody was undergoing an operation that period, and they shut down the national grid. Yeah, did they reason like that? Well, they did, because they were talking about, their minimum wage. We are not saying you should not fight for minimum wage for everybody, but at least reasoning should also prevail in some things like this. Okay. So back to their 250. From all indication, I want to believe that the tripartite committee has come up with different, figures. The federal government says 62. The private sector is saying 62. The state government are the ones even saying that they can't pay more than 57,000. And I don't know how true. I just saw a breakdown of how much each state, was saying they can pay. But I don't know how true it is. And I saw some states saying that it's only for 40K self that they even want to pay. Some states says they want to remain in 30K. I think I don't know how true, because I just saw it somewhere and I was wondering if that state says they can just pay 30,000. I won't mention the state, If they say they can pay 30,000, it means that they are cutting their coat according to their size. Maybe they have looked at their books and then they have said, okay, we cannot pay more than 30,000. But there's a lot that is involved. Because if you tell me that you want to pay me 30K in a month, you also have to look at other things. Things have really gone up. Transportation up. Electricity, high, and things like that. So I think that is where the government will also, the governors, because I feel the federal government, I still say it, that this federal government can still do better. I'm just saying it. I might be wrong in terms of plus and minus, whatever they are saying. I'm saying this because of what I've seen. And I'm looking at it that the federal government knows that, okay, they are paying 30,000 as minimum wage. And they've also included a wage award of 35K, which is about, if you look at it, if you add those two, it is about 65K.
But let's not forget that the payments has not been paid.
But they paid some months, substantially. So let's assume that, okay, they want to even pay and say, okay, now we want to make it official and not be paying wage award and want to make it. So it means federal government can give 65K, And what they can do, what labor of federal government can do is either to increase them more, either to maybe 100, 150, depending on what they have looked at, their books. Then I'm always concerned about the private sector, because when we are looking at the three, we are always leaving the private sector one side. But these are the people that also have, you and I, we are in the private sector. If they want to increase the minimum wage now, we will be affected one way or the other, So, and that is where the organized labor union is supposed to look at. If private sector is saying that, guys, because we have not been making money since the removal of subsidy, we have not gotten, the forest has been fluctuating, and then the increment in electricity has affected our business, and we are not making profit. I think we should start somewhere, because that is where the private sector guys are saying. They're saying, let's start with 60,000 or 62,000, which is about 100% from 30 to 60. Then from there, after maybe 6 months or after 3 months, we can go back to the negotiation table and then see how we can increase it. I think that is where labor is supposed to also look at. By saying it fiat, giving a fiat figure and saying, okay, we have come down from 494 and now it is 250. So the same reasoning that made from 400 to 250, you can also reason with the other members of the committee and see how we can, so that we don't have a logjam in our hands. Because if they shut down the airport again, and God forbid the national grid, it won't be fun, because we don't know if it will be total. Because if it's total, it means that the whole economy will be shut down completely. And that is my fear now, Esther. I just want the labor union, I hope they are watching and they are listening. Let's come to a particular level whereby you can give concession. And while you are making this concession, you can also tell the government that, okay, you are going to agree on so time or so a figure for you, so that there will be peace, in the interest of peace. We appeal to your members too, that please, maybe after 6 months, after 1 year, we'll come back and then we'll talk about how we can increase the minimum wage again, so that in the interest of just peace. In
the interest of peace, I agree with you on that. But then again, MJ, the argument from Labour is that the cost of governance on the part of governors, although it's a tripartite, committee in this, we have the organized labor, we organized private sector, we have the federal, and you have the states. But in the state government's aspect, now they are saying that they should cut down their cost of governance because they assume that they can pay the amount they are asking, even though it seems like the state governors are saying that the money is, what they're asking is unsustainable. What do you make of their demands and the reason for them to stick to their guns on this?
I think organized labor should allow reason to prevail. Why am I saying this? At 30,000 naira minimum wage, yes, labor should naturally ask for higher pay. They deserve it. Things are costly in Nigeria. Prices have gone up north. But we can't say because of that now insist that the minimum you can take is 250,000 naira. Well, thank God that they are coming down. They are coming home gradually from 600,000 per month. They came down to 494. Now it's 250. Now we are 250. And if you see the way government has been progressing from 48 to 54, 57. To 57, to 60, now 62. So, I believe
there will be a middle ground.
I believe, but
remember, they're saying they don't want 100,000.
No. From the way government is moving, government is not likely to move to 100. From the way it is moving, between 48, when it was 600, government has only moved to 62. That's a difference of I think 12 naira, 14 naira. So, from 48 to 52, 14 naira. And
14 naira, 14,000.
14,000. Yeah.
Sorry,
14,000.
Sorry, 14,000. Sorry, 14,000. From 48,000 to 62, 14,000. And the labor has come down from 600 to 250. So labor has shared about, I think that's 350, if my maths is right. But then, let's forget about all these histrionics. One thing is for labor to insist on 250, but another thing is, does the states have the carrying capacity to pay, even if the federal government agrees? Of course, there are some agencies of government today where minimum wage is far, far above even 750,000. Like if you talk of the oil and gas sector or those in finance. Yes, and I think the energy sector too. So their minimum wage has never been 30,000 or even whatever we are talking about. So, but Abia State, for example, is a state governed by the Labour Party. And the Labour Party has sympathy for the NLC. And it's like they are like a Siamese twins. Up as we speak, the governor and government of Abia, who everybody have been clapping for, Labour is even appealing to him to please pay 30,000. He has not been able to pay 30,000. No, I don't think we have up to 20 states in the country today that are paying 30,000 minimum wage. So, somebody was telling me from the Nigerian Governors Forum that even today, if governors decide not to take a kobo, about 20 states, if they decide not to take a kobo from their allocation, they cannot afford to pay 60,000. That is the truth. That the whole allocation that comes from from FAC, if it goes into that state, and you multiply by the number of at 60,000, multiply by the number of workers in that state, it will be above what they get from FAC. And these are states. Only 11 states can sustain their salaries, can sustain themselves with the IGR, their internally generated revenue. Only 11 states: Lagos, Rivers, Kano, Oyo, Edo, Kaduna, Ogun, and a few others. Only 11. So, and you need a combination of your internally generated revenue and FAC to be able to even pay 30,000. Not to talk of 60. So it's not about Labour not making a legitimate demand, but one thing is for you to make a legitimate demand. The other thing is for you to, for the ability of the states and even the federal government to have the resources to meet with what, despite all the, now, it's like a household that used to have 6 vehicles at fuel at 600 naira per liter or thereabout. Nobody will tell that household that you can't be going out with 6 vehicles any longer, that you have to reduce to 2. I've seen households now where even households now even join together different households, different families. They now have a way, instead of house A, B, C, taking the 3 or 4 vehicles to take their kids to school. Now they have a roster where 5 houses will pick 1 day each and pack all the kids, take them to school. Critical thinking in times like this. So for Labour, I think Labour should, especially looking at the body language of the government, and from what government is saying they are talking from the figures available to them, and it's not just the federal government now, it is the states talking. Yes, the states too need to show us that they are ready to auto-sacrifice by cutting waste, cutting excessive waste.
That is very,
very important. In a situation where you see some of these governors flying about in private jets, rather, we don't expect them to be walking or to be driving, but they will tell you that they are looking for investment. But then let Labour see, let Nigerians see that, yes, you are also sacrificing. Of course, Peter Obi in Anambra, but I'm not saying a situation where a governor will have to be going to a filling station to buy fuel by itself or to be buying tomato in the market to say you want to cut costs. No, that's not what we are saying. If you have been killing a cow for government house per day, maybe you reduce it a cow a week.
Or a chicken.
Or chicken. So these are some of the things. But Labour should understand that the 250,000, I doubt if it is feasible.
Okay, let me hold your thoughts on this. We need to go on a very quick break. We have more discussions on this very issue. Just stay with us.
Voted as the best TV station of the year. TVC News breaks into the core of every event as they happen. Following all nationwide big and impactful stories. Without the news from every perspective, covering every human angle. I am Veronica, bringing you the news you would want to watch.
Well, we're still discussing the labor issue with new national minimum wage on the part of labor union intending to go on strike beginning from tomorrow. So, Majid, before I go to Asukwo, let's have your final perspective on this because, you know, while the strike was on, the national grid was shut down, and there are fears now that there could be a repeat of what happened last week, even though the Senate President and the SGF has described such actions as treasonable. What actions do you think should be taken to prevent?
If the federal government allows some characters to shut down the national grid this time around, then, I mean, it will show us that probably we have a weak federal system. Because the national grid, with what happened last week, I expect that by now the National Security Advisor should go and put security men at the TCN centers, because those are critical national infrastructure that no imbecile should be allowed to go and shut down. I mean, you shut down the economy for almost 24 hours. Nigeria was losing $149 billion, I mean, 149 billion naira every day. Now, let's even not talk about the loss. The critical nature of power is not something that anybody should think in its right sense. You should imagine shutting down national grid in America for just 5 minutes. Almost everything works on power. So we take a lot of things for granted. You know, it means that if we were in the days of NITEL, they would have shut down communications. So in a situation where government, for example, also breaks discos, I mean, the TCN, the transition companies, who is going to shut them down again? Look, see, the discos now, they work 24/7. You see them responding, I mean, those who are distributing, you see them responding to emergencies even at midnight. But because TCN is still being held by government, that's why some characters should go there and shut down that kind of critical infrastructure. The government should not allow it to happen if they decide to go on strike. We are not saying they should not go on strike, but they should not go near the national grid.
Asukwo, your thoughts on this?
No, I am totally in support of, you know, of that. You know, strike, you can go protest, but when where your own strike ends is where another person's own begins. So just make sure that you don't affect me. I have the right, you know, for me to associate. I have the right to life. Those in the hospital also have the right to life.
That's talking about essential services.
Yes, yeah, you know, and I don't. That was why even the Nigerian Medical Association said they were not part of it, because they have to, you know, because based on their own
the demands of their work,
you know, they need to be in the hospital. So I think NLC should, you know, make sure that they don't touch such places. The TCA, the transmission, leave it. Go and do your protest and do it, and, you know, and make sure that nobody is affected in any way. You know, I wanted to say something about you know, the governors. Yes, the governors are always saying that they don't have money. They don't have money. You know, they also have to show, you know, labor and even Nigerians that there is no money. Imagine hearing that governors are buying SUV cars, you know, for lawmakers, for crying out loud. Come on. If I hear that, I mean, as a labor person, or even as an ordinary Nigerian, I will be angry. You are the one saying that you don't have money, but you are buying an SUV. I'm not saying you should not buy cars. If you buy a salon car, must you buy SUV?
They should buy from Innozone.
Yes, you can. There are local manufacturers there, or those who are, you know, rather than going outside to go and buy SUV, buy bulletproof cars. You know, those are some of the things that labor will see, and then
Smacks of
they'll be, you know, growing. Their anger will begin to grow. You know, we know that we don't want a situation whereby these state governors will say, okay, yes, we can pay, but is it going to be sustainable? If after 2 months they say they are not paying, the next is for them to sack. And Labour will now go out and begin to say they want to protest. There are some states, just like Moji said, there are some states who cannot pay this 30,000. Labour has not gone there to go and say, why are you not paying 30,000? And you now want to increase 30,000, you can't pay. You now want to increase it to 60,000. You know, so by the time you look at all these things, that is why I'm saying peace. They must come to a particular consensus. I don't know what they discuss in their meetings, but people should be able to tell them all these things. Not forgetting when there was a time Labour also went on strike, and they made some demands, and even the federal government said, we'll be rolling out CNG buses, we'll be doing wage awards, we'll be doing this and that. I feel that is some of the things that Labour is supposed to come to Nigeria and tell Nigerians the efforts they themselves have made, you know, to see that they have monitored all these things, that they made the demands, and also the things that the government has even said, okay, they will provide for workers. The CNG buses, for instance, have you heard the Labour leader come here, the NLC president coming to say, oh, they promised us CNG buses. We have not seen it, or we have seen it. But he has not done that. We are not saying you should not protest, but you made some demands in the past. Government has said they will do this. Have the government done that? That is what we should be getting feedback from them, from Labour. Not every time when it comes to, it's not only salary, because it's not only this minimum wage. Because there are some things around that minimum. That is why they are saying 250. Those things around minimum wage. If government is able to defray those things, they shouldn't be talking about 250 anymore. If there are CNG buses, transportation is out. If they give subsidy for, what is it called, for electricity, is out. So it means your 250 is going down. You understand? If government provides food, you know, cheaper food in the market, it's going down. Education, if it's free for maybe from age 0 to age maybe 12 or something, it's going down. So all these things are some of the things that, you know, those are some of the things that Labour is supposed to come and then begin to tell us that government has done this, but we need them to do this, and that is why we want to push the minimum wage to this particular figure. So I feel, just like I said, we need peace. Please and please, Joe and Jiro and co, leave our national grid for us. You protest is your right, but please, we also have the right to life.
Right. MJ, final thoughts on this before we move to our next topic.
Yes, we are appealing to Labour to allow reason to prevail and not to throw Nigeria into another round of darkness. And we also calling on the National Security Advisor to be on his guards too, in case some. We are not saying people should not go on strike, but some people want to be unruly. They should be put to check. I mean, there are rules of engagement for going on. There are some critical national assets that you cannot touch. Right. So let them go on their strike if they want to. I'm an employer of Labour. I cannot afford to pay 60,000.
And this is an appeal from us here for Labour to also exercise a little bit of caution when going on its industrial action. Well, let's quickly move on to the next issue of discussion, where it is generally said that to destroy is easy, but to rebuild that which has been destroyed is more tasking. Now, the Rivers State government has approved 19.5 billion naira for the reconstruction of the State House of Assembly chambers demolished in the wake of the political crisis that engulfed the state. And the State Executive Council gave the approval after a meeting at the Government House in Port Harcourt, and the project, made up of about 34 ensuite offices on a two-story building with elevator, gallery, meeting rooms, and a conference hall, is expected to be completed in 9 months. Asuko, I saw you, shaking your head, wondering like, this is unbelievable. Would you like to share with us what you were thinking?
Well, I was wondering when the old one, was built, and how much, I was trying to do that, research, and and then how much this is going to also cost the government. I know the governor actually said it was because it was bombed. We don't even know the state. I think the last time the court, the suspects are already in court. They are facing prosecution. But we don't know how far that case is going to be, because somebody has to pay for this. 19 billion. Let me say 20 billion is not. It's not
20 naira.
It's not 20 naira now, Esther. Billion, no, not million. To build. Forget about all these things that they are saying. It's going to be all ensuite, 2-story building, gallery, meeting room, and all that. Those ones are just talk, and it's going to be 9 months. It is not about that. It is about people facing prosecution for wrongdoing. If actually they are rebuilding, or they demolish that particular complex because of somebody who just woke up and decided to bomb that place, that person is supposed to pay for that rebuilding.
Damage. That
is it. Somebody can just wake up and say, okay, I want to start killing like they do in, over there. Even in Nigeria, they've started doing, just go somewhere and begin to kill people. No. Some people have to pay for things like this, And for now that the government have decided that, okay, they want to rebuild, we hope that this time around somebody will not go back there and say we want to, bomb the complex. Because if they bomb this one now, because all this has happened when they had political crisis.
Right.
All this happened when they had political crisis. By the time everybody, that is one thing about politics. Everybody is angry now. By the time they want to settle, you are used to go and do the problem now, maybe you will be the one in jail. Because the parties that we are fighting, they will be drinking tea. So those who are always fighting when politicians are fighting, sometimes I laugh. You don't know where these people meet for them to settle. These two people that you are seeing, this weekend for Buhari, don't be surprised and see them somewhere. In the night, they might be meeting somewhere and be drinking pami. And all of us are here, we are fighting. So let's sometimes we need to also keep our anger in check, and let our reasoning be in our heads. But for this, it's just a chunk of the Rivers budget that is going to be used for this, and it's very sad. It should have been used for other things.
Yeah, indeed. MJ, when I first saw the story, the same thought I thought about, like, the people will get to suffer for this. Although the budget has been released and it shows pretty much of a chunk going to education and the likes, well, some would say, well, 19 billion is not too much to take out of the budget. What do you make of this?
In these circumstances, 19.5 billion is way too much to use for the reconstruction, quote and unquote, of the House of Assembly complex that was bombed and burnt. Like Kazuko said, somebody must pay for this. But no matter the number of jail terms you prescribe for this kind of, for the perpetrators, will that reimburse the purse of the long-suffering people of Rivers, who is going to... This money could have gone into healthcare development, could have gone into education, infrastructure development, or some other uses, or even if it's for the payment of salaries. This, in a state like Rivers, we pay at least 3 months' salary. It's 19 billion, at an average of 6 billion per month.
So what would you want the government to do? Because it definitely needs a new state assembly.
Well, this is politics. A stress test was carried on the old assembly. And what they said, it only needed maybe just minor repairs and refurbishment. It does not require a whole pulling down of the structure. Now, see, this is all politics. And what we have today in Rivers, let's forget about the figures, is 1-1 goalless draw. As in, where a team plays 1-1 and it's still a goalless draw at the same time. So no victor,
no vanquished.
It's 50-50 in Rivers. This is simply Wike and Fubara. And Fubara is borrowing a leaf from what the outgoing governor of Edo did when he went to remove the roof of the House of Assembly complex, Obaseki, Godwin Obaseki, where, I think just about, at a point, 7 members of the assembly sat for almost 6 years. So, he removed the roof of the assembly and he put some barricades and some concrete and granite around the assembly place. Said, no, the place is under repair for almost 2 or 3 years. Nothing was happening there. Now Fubara has graciously relocated these 5-member assembly members to the government house chambers.
It's even 3, sir.
Oh, no, now there are 3, because one resigned and one is so I think there are 3 of them. So 3 people approved the state budget, and which the ESCO is now rubber stamping at the expense of the people, just because 2 big men are fighting each other. And that is the truth. This is a result of the fight between Wike and Fubara. Simple, in clear terms. But who suffers? It is where 2 elephants fight. It is the grass that suffers. So, the governor wanted to extend the demolition to the new
quarters.
Staff quarters,
legislative quarters.
That was just commissioned less than 2 years ago, late 2022. He wanted about, it took the intervention of elders in the state and National Assembly members to say, bros, please leave
Calm down.
Calm down. Don't demolish it. So, it's not a joking matter, but if this is the kind of the kind of things democracy gives birth to, then we really need to have a rethink. And why would somebody go and inflict a 19.5 billion damage on an assembly complex that is, as far as I'm concerned, in that complex that is being rebuilt now, it's not up to 5 years, because it was built by Wike, and Wike spent 8 years there. He built it in the second term. So what are we talking about here? The Lagos State House of Assembly complex has been there since 1999. It's just undergoing some minor refurbishments. But in a space of how many years? In a space of less than 5 years now, almost maybe 50 billion is going into the building and reconstruction of the Rivers State House of Assembly.
So if this remains an issue, because when 2 elephants fight, like you rightly stated, the grass suffers, how can we prevent a situation where politics comes before governance, where people get to do things, where those who are meant to govern a state are allowed to do things and go scot-free? Isn't there any legal system to check against such errant behavior, I would say?
Well, governors are almost next to God. They have immunity. So, even if a governor kills somebody, they can hide under the guise of him defending himself.
Exactly.
And nothing will touch him for as long as he carries that immunity till the end of his tenure. So, governors are like mini gods. So it's always difficult. It depends on the individual. So many, the Wike Fubara situation is happening in so many states, but it depends on how the personalities involved are managing it, especially the sitting governors in those states. It depends on how they are managing it.
Doesn't this bother on, reviewing the Constitution, as it were?
Yes, maybe we should review the Constitution and remove the immunity clause. Maybe it will allow some of these governors to know that, yes, you don't have that absolute power.
But you know that to remove that immunity clause now will be very difficult.
Why?
Why? Because some of those senators, some of the House of Reps, they believe that after House of Reps, they can still come back to become governors.
So that's it.
So they too, they also want to enjoy what the present governor. So they know, politicians know how to play the chess game very well. You understand? So if you think that they are going to erase something that they know that in future it will benefit them, they are lying. But just like you said, I feel it's something that they can amend if we want a good country and we want people to, when they go into government, they should work for the people and not for themselves. Then we'll begin to look at a people's constitution, a constitution that will appeal to everybody, that people will be able to say, this is what we want for us to be able to build Nigeria.
So are you saying a reorientation on the part of the people, on the part of those who govern the people?
The people, Esther, you need to know that Nigerians are quite aware now. But those in power, will they allow Nigerians to have their way? And when I mean have their way, when once we know that, okay, we do not want immunity inside our constitution, at the end of the day, we have this so-called constitution amendment, whatever. If we want to erase it, they will tell you, okay, we have heard. When they want to, those again say, hey, those again, that is where the whole thing will end.
Well, let's hope that this matter gets addressed as soon as possible in the interest of the general people, Nigeria. Well, that's where we end today's episode of Journalist Hangout. Let me first off thank my guests, my colleagues in the studio, Asukwo James and Mojid Jamyu. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for your insights on the show. And that's about it on the program. Don't forget you can watch a repeat broadcast of it tonight at 11. You can also watch us on Sunday from 1:30 to 3:30 p.m. We are also on YouTube at youtube.com/TVC News Nigeria. I am Esther Mapariola. Bye for now, and God bless Nigeria.
That's it. The regular football season is over.
What?
Yes, it's over.
Oh, no.
But not for us here at Supersport. We've got your favorite players. Only they won't be playing for your favorite clubs. That's because they'll be playing for their countries in Euro 2024, exclusively on Supersport.
Yeah! Whoopsie. Sorry. That's actually a pretty big deal.
Catch all 51 games of Euro 2024 only on Supersport. Stay connected to DSTV to watch all the action on Supersport.
The following is a paid presentation by ShopX TV.
Tired of pans that scratch and stick? Or cookware that takes up valuable space in your kitchen and are of little to no use? Cooking used to be fun, but now it just feels like a chore. Introducing ShopX Gotham Hammered Copper Collection, the perfect cookware to upgrade your cooking experience. The Gotham Hammered Copper Collection features a super durable ultra non-stick surface. Eggs stick to other pans, but with the Hammered Copper Collection, they slide right out. Incredible! Plus, the Cool Touch solid cast handle makes it safe and easy to cook even the hottest dishes. It's oven safe up to 500 degrees, so bake this beautiful chicken suya pizza and serve it straight from the pan. Or this tasty, delicious cake that will have your whole family asking for more. Any recipe can be made in these pans, and then it wipes clean with ease, so clean up